Yo, what's going on, people? You're watching That Christian Guy podcast, back again. And I was missing for like 2 weeks just because I was ill. I'm still ill, but videos have to get made, you know how it goes. So I'm back again, new topic. What I wanted to talk about with you guys is depression. So I just put out my new single, Some More. Shout out to Macklin for helping me with that. And yeah, so the reception, everything has been good, which is dope. But I think the thing I was kind of surprised by was just how many people were actually able to like relate. Like a lot of the comments aren't necessarily like, yo, this is dope. A lot of the comments are like, yo, yeah, thank you for this, or thank you for putting this into words, or wow, this was so helpful, and that kind of thing. Which kind of led me down the path of like, it seems to be something, depression. I've noticed it with anxiety as well, but a lot of people, they have these feelings or they have these emotions, but then they don't necessarily feel comfortable to talk about it. And I get it, because I kind of went through the same kind of tangent of, I felt like I was kind of alienating myself a bit, like it's a bit different from music, but the thought process was kind of like, nobody's going to really want to hear this, nobody's really going to want to be interested in kind of talking about depression and dark stuff and everything else, like, you know. And I think it makes sense in terms of conversation too. A lot of the times we're out, we're talking, everyone's trying to like either live their best life directly, or at least give the impression that we're living our best life. So no one's really trying to put it out there, the fact that they might be going through depression or they've experienced depression. And in terms of what I'm actually talking about in terms of depression, what I'm talking about here is like long, systemic, prolonged feelings of just anxiety that usually comes as a tag on to depression, isolation, loneliness, just separation from the world, a total disconnect, inability to function and kind of just live your daily life. And if you are, it's just an uphill battle beyond the norm in order to just exist, essentially, to leave the house, to make food for yourself, them kind of things, you know. And yeah, so what I want to kind of encourage people to do is just talk, be open, have the conversations. And maybe this is where it starts in terms of my sphere or my world, in as much as any time I've kind of been putting words out there or kind of had those uncomfortable conversations about depression, the reaction I get, you know, it isn't usually that's kind of weird, or I don't understand. The reaction I usually get is like, oh yeah, like, yeah, me too, or if not me too, then yeah, my brother or my sister or my cousin or whatever was going through that same thing. And I think, you know, an analogy that I'd give is, you know, someone has like a outy belly button poking out and that kind of thing, and they're kind of self-conscious of it, like we are with any, you know, so-called imperfection. You come across somebody else that has the same thing, and like, oh shoot, yeah, me too, ha ha ha. It kind of takes the edge off of it. And I think with depression, it carries those same values. If we're openly having those conversations, I think a lot of us will find the people around us, next door, at work, school, whatever, a lot of people are going through these same things. When you look at statistics, you know, it leads you to believe that there's 10 people in a room, then there's going to be at least 3 of them are going to be suffering from depression. So it's important, I think, if we just put it out there, and if we kind of make a oath and a path, just to be honest, in as much as, even if we're not going through it now, to say like, yeah, that's something that I went through, or something that I struggled with, or something that I'm still struggling with, and this is how I dealt with it. In terms of the hot tips or the top tips that I try to give to people, I would say to one, try and remember how it was outside of the world of depression. What depression can kind of do is kind of rob you of your hope, which is integral, you know. If you don't have the hope that things are going to get better, then you quickly kind of plummet down that rabbit hole for even faster than you would. So just know and realize that nothing lasts forever, you know. Happiness doesn't last and exist forever while we're out here, in the same way that sadness doesn't last and exist forever when we're out here. So just know it is possible, and as far-fetched and as far away as it may seem in terms of something like depression having a grip on you, you just need to know within yourself and make that mental and conscious decision to say like, yeah, I know this is how I feel right now, I know I feel like there's no hope, but in reality there is, you know. And if you can get yourself to that mental position, then that will help. 2, like we just said, talking to people. Like I said, any reaction that I've gotten before has never been like, oh, you're weird or whatever else. People nowadays, I'd say, are a lot more aware of kind of mental health issues. I know it ain't perfect, but it's something that I think's improved over the last 10 years or so. People are a lot more open to talk about things. People are a lot more open to discuss things like therapy. Another thing I suggest is rest. So just in terms of the way that our bodies are and the way that we're designed as humans, sometimes we can end up just in trying to chase a high or in trying to chase some happiness, we kind of mess with our kind of system in terms of we'll like, start checking out some stuff on like YouTube, or we'll just be browsing or just doing something weird or watching TV or binging something on Netflix just to try and catch a vibe, to kind of try and break the cycle of depression. However, once that kind of time zone flips on you and it's like 10, 11, 12, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., you're going to start finding these whole feelings getting intertwined and mingled up. So the reason you're out here feeling crap may not necessarily be just because of depression. Your body's just going to be run down and tired, you're going to be lacking energy, you're going to be lethargic. So all of those things are just going to add and compound what's already there. So do try and still keep to a time discipline. Try and go to sleep at a reasonable hour. And if you know your usual routine wasn't reasonable to begin with anyway, then you know you're going to have to switch it up a little bit and just be stern and be stubborn with yourself and say, okay, like 10 p.m. that's going to be my cutoff. I'm going to make sure I'm sleeping for like 8 hours and that kind of thing. Other thing I'd say, isolation. Try to be around other people. We are social creatures by nature. We are designed to be around other people. In Genesis, that first problem in there was that Adam was out there by himself and he started getting all depressed and lonely and everything else in between. So do interact. As crazy as it feels, and as much as you just really don't want to be around anybody, again, it's one of those mental choices that we can make, in as much as I don't feel like it, I don't want to, but I'm going to anyway, just because I know that in the long term it will help me. And don't give up on people, Of course, people are going to let you down, people are going to break promises, just because that's how people are with people. But that doesn't mean that we can just live a life in isolation and then that will be what's to the best, what's to our benefit, Another thing, food, diet, eating. I'm powering my way through this cold right now too. But just try and eat regularly in terms of intervals and such. Make sure that you're not just kind of starving yourself or just binging on weird stuff. Often if we're feeling depression, we ain't going to feel like cooking, we ain't going to feel like doing anything, let alone putting together a sensible meal, But as much as possible, try, if you can't do that, then you can go out for a meal with friends and that kind of thing. So just try to have some things in place that are going to help your diet from a health and a physical point of view. There's all sorts of chemicals and hormones and such attached to food even by itself. But if you're not eating right, and your eating habits are all over the place, you can start to gain weight and all that kind of thing as well. So if you have all these other issues on top of the initial depression, it's just going to snowball and make things worse and worse and worse. Alright, the other thing I'd say is try to connect with the things that make you happy, whatever it was that you find. And often people who go through depression, it won't be your first time having gone through depression. So if you think back and you reflect, what are the things that you tried to do before that didn't help? What are the things that you tried to do before that did help? And if you can grab onto those things that did help and do those more and more and multiply it, then those things will help and those things will play a part. It's worth knowing that we're talking about something physical here as well. Before we get spooky, which is why a lot of the reasonable practical things that you can do are rooted in the physical rather than necessarily just focusing on the spiritual alone. But I say that to say that said, it's always worth taking things up in prayer. At the same time, just having that spiritual connection is also gonna benefit your body and benefit you as a human being trying to navigate your way through life and such, And the other thing I'd say, try and stay away from people that are gonna bring you down. There's always going to be people in our lives that are just, when we're exposed to them, it's just going to make our stress levels, our anxieties, everything else just be on peak. So, try and just be around the right people as much as possible. Avoid people that are just going to be triggers or have a negative impact on you. And yeah, keep doing your thing. That's all I've got to say on the topic, man. I hope that one or two or all of those things have been useful to you. If you know somebody that you feel like, this might benefit, send it to them. If you know that you yourself, you struggle with this time to time, just save the video in a playlist somewhere or something like that so you can come back to it. And as always, like, share, subscribe. We out.